Passive-aggressive title aside, it's fair to say that many fans of Luigi's Mansion were deeply disappointed by Next Level Games' rendition of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. And with the upcoming Luigi's Mansion 3 for Nintendo Switch being revealed, many fans are on the fence, biting their nails, wondering whether this game will fix many of the complaints that were had about the second game, or whether this will be another unintuitive mission-based slop show. The 3DS version doesn't have missions, so portable doesn't mean missions are guaranteed. Blah. Regardless, I went back to the original Luigi's Mansion, with a slight twist, for a fun nostalgia trip and discovered some long-lost things that have since been forgotten in the Luigi's Mansion franchise that I figured could plausibly make a comeback. And though I'm awfully doubtful Luigi's Mansion 3 will actually cover these mechanics and ideas, I can always dream of better games. I've done it for Pikmin for years now. So here's how to make a proper Luigi's Mansion sequel. Now obviously, the purpose of a sequel is to extend and expand many of the elements from its previous entry, and Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon did do a fairly good job on that. The Poltergust 3000 became the 5000 model, granting Luigi 2 new mechanics of flashing his light to stun enemies and activate triggers, as well as the dark light ability to reveal hidden elements in a room. This is intrinsically a great way to expand Luigi's gameplay, as it grants him more interactivity with the mansions he parades, as well as opens up for puzzle potential. But you know what Dark Moon lost on the way? The Poltergust 3000's elemental mechanics. The fact that these didn't carry over were a major letdown for both the nostalgia factor of how so much of the original game played out, but also from a game design perspective. In the first game, you could use elements as a feature to give you access to certain parts of the mansion, through either extinguishing inflamed doors, freezing water, or... Actually, they never made water give you access to rooms, but there is still a possibility to make that work. On top of that, with the elements, you could continue to interact with the environment in different ways, such as watering plants, burning boarded doors, even though that's not actually an option somehow. God, I was confused as a kid, and disturbing guests. Now, in their place, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon also did a good job of expanding the basic Poltergust mechanics of sucking and blowing. This was through both giving a super suck ability and introducing inflatables, giving him more power and options for sucking in ghosts, and more importantly, allowing for vertical exploration in the mansions. Perfect for the character that spontaneously decided to stop jumping. And now with Luigi's Mansion 3, we have the Poltergust 7000? Now we're able to launch plungers to stun enemies in a new way, and we can see it's also kept the strobulb. So what I'd like to see next is even more of the old mechanics. Whether the Poltergust has a crazy ability to use water, fire, ice, strobe lights, dark light, and the plunger, or there is some other way of presenting all these jobs. Perhaps multiple Poltergusts to choose from, or a customizable deck to choose 3 alternative Hoover heads. Still, imagine a Luigi's Mansion that did bring all of these mechanics together, or just in general expanded the Poltergust's utility. Here's some ideas, starting with more of the elements. Fire can be used to light torches, destroy traps, and thaw ice, as we have seen in the original game, but it could also be used to burn plants and vines in your way, or de-slip icy pathways, or kickstart a hot device like an oven or a chimney, or even an engine at the stretch of the imagination. Water can, as per usual, water plants, extinguish flames and wake people up, but could also be used in the future game to lift a bridge by filling a body of water. It could activate a water mill or destroy an electrical device. And as for ice, sure, it can solidify water and disturb someone's bath. Wow, is that really all they did with the ice power in the first game? But it can also be used to cool down an overheating device, or make flooring slippy if needed, slow down or freeze machinery moving too quickly, or it could clog up a leak or a gaping hole. And that's just a handful of basic ideas for new ways to use the elements from the first game. But imagine if they were more incorporated with each other and with the other newer mechanics of the later games. With the purple balloon berries, you can fill them up with water to create water balloons. Their purpose? Perhaps to transport water across to a certain place, or to shoot against some fire in the distance. It could be a way to create a water projectile. Maybe shooting fire within the balloon berry causes you to rocket upwards. Maybe as more of a one-time thing, it could be a way to shoot up against a giant spiraling stairway, or it could be used to escape from a climbing tower boss. And ice could be used inside to solidify its inflated state. This could be used either as some kind of giant tool, or it could be used again as a projectile, filling it with air, then freezing it solid before pushing more air out until it shoots ahead, decimating some future blockade. Dark Moon also introduced robotic bomb guys known as robombs, which dash at you and explode. Perhaps integrating them with the elements, you can immediately detonate him in his place, slow him down and deactivate him, or disarm his explosive power in the first place. This could completely replace the strobe bulb element of their design or work alongside it. Maybe you'd want to freeze it before it attacks you, then plant it somewhere before re-triggering it to clear the way. Moving on to the dark light, although this is a bit of a weird idea, perhaps something invisible has been set alight, and you are able to see the fire causing an issue, but can't extinguish them until you've revealed what it is that is exactly on fire. Similarly, maybe you can't see the fire, so when entering a doorway, Luigi gets weirdly damaged. So then you reveal the door and see that it is on fire and can only then extinguish the flames that have suddenly appeared before you. This on its own could definitely open up for a really thrilling or even scary moment where Luigi enters a room and is sufferingly hot. He reveals any invisibility only to realize that he is surrounded by fire as the whole place is set alight. Does he have to escape now and slowly extinguish it later, or does he just have to take it on now? Maybe in that scenario, Luigi can't do anything except escape and slowly take down the fire later on. I think that scenario on its own could be pretty cool. And as a final little thing for new Dark Moon mechanics, they added a small option for Luigi to actively run. As you can expect, this has potential beyond basic mobility, as it can also be used to propel yourself with an icy slope and ramp, for example. Now beyond the elements, the original Luigi's Mansion also gave us some other mechanics that got lost to time. Admittedly a smaller thing, but whatever happened to the first-person Game Boy horror move? It actually could be seen as ahead of its time looking at how phone-centric games are these days. Still, this has room to be expanded more. In the original, this device would allow you to search rooms to gain Luigi's opinions on what he saw, be it through paintings, decoration, and general cleanliness, but it also allowed you to observe parts of rooms that were obscured by the more fixed camera angle in the usual view. If you were to find a mouse door, for example, it could either expel a ghost mouse full of riches, or upon searching it would open a little tunnel airway that could suck you into the next room. And if you were to highlight any mirrors, they would act as simple yet kinda creepy teleportation tricks to take you back to the front of the mansion. So what more can be done with the Game Boy horror, or in this case the Jewel Scream, or Game Panic or something? Well, for a start, selfies. Oh yeah. Link's done it, Mario's done it, and Pikachu's been doing it for years. Everyone's here taking selfies all over their games. And Luigi, sure, he can do the same. Give him a series of fearful and less fearful expressions and give him something spooky in the background and you're set. Could even be possible to add rare Easter eggs like making a ghost appear behind Luigi without him noticing sometimes. Spooky. Oh crap, this is officially a Halloween video now, isn't it? Ah, damn. Also, looking back on the Dark Moon though, the camera did always keep itself in quite a fixed angle onto Luigi, so reintroducing those hidden elements could work quite nicely. Mouse doors and mirrors are the easy stuff though. What if there's hidden portraits or wall drawings to be found? Finding them could grant Luigi access to some hidden thing. Or maybe they're haunted themselves and you can witness them moving around, taking us back to their original storyline a little. Maybe Luigi can take pictures of them which he needs to show to Egad or another friendly ghost giving you a side mission within the mansion. Or even without pictures, you can use the camera to see where they're hidden on a wall, and then manually grab it to know that it's there, like the hidden button in the first game. And as for taking pictures, perhaps that's the next big thing! Again, take a picture of each ghost to log it, perfect for Egad's research and to learn more about them. Perhaps it even reveals hidden optional ones in a room, or cause them to stop and pose for the picture. Maybe even in some creepy twist you can use the camera to literally capture a ghost into a picture, like the classic portraits of the first game. A little grim and would need some balancing works, but maybe it's a minigame or can only work once per room or per ghost. But it's a thought. Hey, we're around the halfway mark of the video, so here's a quick word from our sponsor. It's me! What? I'm a small YouTuber, what did you expect? Still, since I've kept your attention this long, it means I must be somewhat interesting to you, so here's a way to see even more of me. My Twitch page is Daz Videos, and I have a gaming channel called Daz Let's Plays, once again here on YouTube. I stream 5 days a week with a variety of themes, weird modded games every Monday, casual streams on Wednesday, playing with fans on Friday, and Smash every Saturday as we wait for Smash Ultimate. If you want more of me and more variety gaming, that's the place to go. Links are in the description, but otherwise, back to the video. Speaking of collectibles, we're gonna need a better reward system for what we're doing and collecting. In Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, you're constantly collecting money within the mansion, but it doesn't resort to much. They're initially used for you to grab upgrades, which on its own works pretty well, but as you'd expect, these upgrades aren't spread right the way to the end of the game, so once you've gotten that final upgrade on the Poltergust, there's no major purpose for it anymore. All it changes is your individual rank and the amount of growing piles of gold shown in the vault, which is kinda cool in a vacuum, but without more interaction with it, other than just looking at it through the glass, it's a little lackluster compared to Luigi's new mansion at the end of the first game. So here's how to fix that. I don't necessarily need another mansion for Luigi, unless his new house is destroyed somehow, or they've built on top of it, I don't know. But perhaps you are still given something of varying value once you reach the end of the game. Perhaps it's simply the size and colour of a trophy, or a throne, or painting you receive at the end of the game. Alternatively, what if you could enter a gallery-like room that also shows off all of your Gs? Perhaps a throne room full of gold for Luigi to sit and fall asleep on with Polterpup on his lap, like a happy reward of relaxation for him. On top of that, collectibles. Good lord, Dark Moon's reward for it was okay. Though again, more interactivity would be nice. That throne home idea actually still holds up for it, though I also really enjoyed the element of passing collectibles to an ally while in the mansion. For the first game, it was clairvoyance, who in exchange for collectibles would give you hints as to what your future holds. This further deepens your investment into the game and makes you feel more part of the world, rather than just some greedy traveller. So another one of those, perhaps with those hidden portrait ideas, wouldn't go amiss. Though they could easily be something else. We don't need a second fortune teller, so maybe someone who gives out keys to optional rooms or shortcuts. Kinda like how the original booze would grant you access to future rooms when you'd collected enough, making you feel like you've actually accomplished something when you manage to reach the door and pass through it. Or maybe they can help with the story more, perhaps giving you a few seconds to hear Mario's voice or tell you about an upcoming boss's weakness. And a way to expand the gallery is pretty simple. Give us more details to learn about. Give us some extended info on every ghost and hopefully portrait ghost we capture. What's their name, their favourite food? Give us Egad's notes and Luigi's opinions. Instead of paintings, make them move, even just a little bit. If they're 3D models, show their animations, or better yet, have them interact with the player. Or show us them messing around in a room together. Not like that abhorrently robotic Boo Vault. Give us something aquarium-like to observe. Now, I've been beating around the bush on this long enough. If you want to truly do a Luigi's Mansion sequel right, then you've got to bring the portrait ghosts back. They were the heart and soul of the first game and probably the biggest pull in. I came to take down ghosts, not a bunch of teeth. And these guys added so much more to the game in so many ways. Their placement in the rooms gave you incentive to look around the mansion rather than walk through it. They gave you a glimpse into their lives and their personalities, from the master who reads on his rocking chair to the fitness buff training in the gym. They gave you more variety in the combat, as you'd have to do all sorts of things to capture them, be it play hide and seek, take off their screws, or freeze their teleporting vase head. And they covered so much of the mansion that having another mansion without them feels pretty empty and lonely. Filling it in with civilians, albeit dead ones, creates much more depth to the mansion Luigi could be traversing. Were they workers, butlers, or simply toys in the attic? Did they die in their sleep, or were they born as a ghost? There's all sorts of addictive mysteries and content to be had by this major element of the original game. And another Luigi's Mansion game will never beat the first game if they choose to omit this giant idea. And there is a limitless amount of possibilities for the game to utilise these characters. They can tell stories for each room and character. Are they the master of the house? Do their children like them? What pet did they have? What's hiding in the basement? I don't even need to list my own character ideas for you to see how much potential more portrait ghosts have. They don't necessarily have to be from portraits, they could simply be collectibles, or even just people you find in the mansion. If they're all friendly but perhaps assist or are part of the problem, then great! Just their existence adds so much to the game that a sequel is blasphemous not to have them. And even the original ghosts have a good amount of options. 3 outstanding features for some of those ghosts were 1, some were actual Mario enemies, 2, some came with elemental hearts, and 3, some were full-on invisible. Now I imagine maybe Nintendo doesn't like the idea of actual dead Shy Guys, but I personally found it to be really cool, especially with how you had to take their masks off first, which did actually translate over to Dark Moon. But if they were to accept other Mario enemies, how about these for some ideas? Spikes! They can spit out spiked rocks to attack you with, similar to the bowling ball ghosts from the original. Hammer Bros could simply throw ghostly hammers at you from a distance. Pokies could pop up and try to fall on you, pretty much as they normally do. And Lakitus could drop items, and namely bombs or poison shrooms, or maybe even hearts accidentally. I chose these slightly off-brand enemies as the Shy Guys were given spears to make up for them not really punching you, and having a ghost charge you seems kinda crappy, unless they were hyped up more, like as if they were at the end of a really long hallway and you have to stun them before they reach you. It's an idea. As for the Elemental Hearts idea, I could see why this was switched, as they were kind of a one-time gimmick issue you had to get past. But at the same time, the concept could be reworked. Maybe there's an enemy you can defeat normally, but they are inherently weak to a certain element. Give a ghost that's all kitted out in snow gears and fire and watch his heart plummet much faster. Even take it further with telekinetic ghosts being weak to physical attacks, i.e. a plunger to the face. It could be a cool way to switch up combat a little once again. Got a guy charging you? Use ice to slow him down before he stops in his tracks. You could also maybe just make it a boss-only thing where you have to use the elements in the room to finally take the ghost down. And invisibility, oh man, that was fun and horrifying to deal with. In the original game, there are 2 times where Luigi is given a room full of invisible ghosts and a visual cue to their whereabouts, one with a mirror and the other with a projector. Even simply bringing these back would make me pretty happy, to be honest. But how's about one out on ice where you can see their reflections on the floor? Or go for the Nintendo Land approach of having them only appear when lightning strikes. Have the lights flicker on and off to reveal them briefly, or maybe the room is surrounded with glowing buttons that light up when a ghost is directly ahead of them, so you have to envision it like a grid system to work out where they are. Some really cool opportunities here, and I really hope they bring something like that back one day. Also, whatever happened to poison mushrooms? They weren't great to experience, but I did really enjoy the high-pitched Luigi. It could even convert into the mystery with Luigi being small for certain areas, though that was briefly covered in Dark Moon. I also wouldn't mind just a variety of other power-ups that could boost Luigi up or bring him down. Seems kinda cool. Actually, I would like a lot more wacky and ghostly things to take place in a good sequel, rather than predictable practical jokes. I mean, slipping stairways are basic and easy, but having someone stuck in a room repeating itself is much cooler. Having a room fade away to shoot at the moon is random, but having candles that can't be extinguished and change color is really atmospheric. And being shrunk down, sucked into paintings, flipped upside down, or not being flipped upside down really adds to create so much more magic that the Luigi's Mansion tone creates. I would love to see more strange goings on. As a handful of ideas, how about a room that traps Luigi with every exit leading back into the room? How about a simple hallway that twists and turns defying gravity? How about a room that's completely invisible and you have to create the path using your dark light? Give us a room that turns sideways when you exit it and return, have Luigi highlight something with his game panic or whatever, and have it grow in size until Luigi realizes he's been shrunk to a tiny size for looking at a cursed painting or something. Have bosses take him to another dimension. Dark Moon actually did a fairly good job on that with their hidden mini-games in tombs and little passageways. So more weirdness with that would be great. And that kinda covers my ideas for how to extend all of the original mechanics into a new sequel without abandoning all of its assets for a Dark Moon-esque game. But I do still have some more ideas for a Luigi's Mansion sequel, be it for Luigi's Mansion 3 or beyond. And this will be my one real chance to lay them out, so I might as well continue. But now, I'm going to look at the third installment's mechanics. From what we've seen from the 30 seconds, Luigi now has a plunger ability and a jetpack. And as a third new mechanic, I'd like to see the opposite of the vacuuming bonus upgrade. Instead of having a super suck ability, I'd want some kind of blowing pump kind of mechanic. Literally a giant gust of air to come out of the poltergust. This on its own could have a new array of options. As a start, it could kind of work like a leaf blower, blowing away in one big gust any pile of leaves or dust on the ground rather than sucking it up. But maybe being able to propel items on the floor such as those robombs could also be helpful. Or say there's a bridge with a piece lifted up and on your side is a robomb dangling from a spiderweb. Air blasting it propels it off the web and onto the other side before you activate it to explode, breaking the bridge's hinges and making the lifted piece come crashing into place. Against ghosts, maybe it can physically push them away for a moment of space. Putting it with the other mechanics, it can bring back projectile, fire, water and ice. It can shoot balloons ahead of you, be it full of water or ice or not. Blasting air can push an item off a shelf up high. It can extinguish a series of candles that need to be taken out within quick time to trigger something. Or on an icy slide, it can accelerate your motions. Or while you're jetpacking if it's not just for minor moments like this. In a cutscene, maybe it'll even break Luigi's fall. just a thought. Now the plunger with its little string applicant could also be used to pull more effectively onto things like lifted doors or clogged toilets, obviously. Perhaps it can also be used as a bit of a grappling hook to swing over something, if you attach it to the ceiling. Beyond that, I'm admittedly falling a little short on ideas for these new mechanics. Weird, they're kinda situational. However, there is speculation that Mario, Peach and Toad are also playable options, or at least appear and assist in some way in Luigi's Mansion 3. So taking their character traits along, what if each one came with an element? Mario has fire, Peach has ice and Toad has water. And I guess Luigi has air? Perhaps Mario and only Mario can transport into paintings to explore elsewhere, or only Peach can go through mirrors or something. Toad can fit into smaller doors. It's admittedly kind of difficult working out what they can do to differentiate themselves since the games generally don't have jumping and speed isn't really relevant here. Maybe they each get cursed in different ways. Luigi gets shrunk, Mario gets flipped upside down, Peach gets floated upwards, unable to touch the floor, and Toad's immune because he hides too quickly. I don't know. Maybe they each get different poltergusts or something. So, final game, Dark Moon's mechanics and how to expand them. The Super Pull could get an extra upgrade, where if you use its strongest pull on a ghost when others are nearby, it will activate pulling them in as well. The Dark Moon we've already discussed a fair bit, though I personally would much prefer not sucking up ghost bits for hidden things. The Strobe Bulb could maybe be used to flash ice or mirrors to spread its length. What if there was a room that was pure darkness and you had to capture your strobe bulb into mirrors or crystal balls to light up small parts of the room to traverse your way through? And hidden minigames could have more options with all of these new mechanics. Extinguish all the fire in time, reach the goal at the end of this body of water, melt the snowman before time runs out, build the snowman before time runs out, propel all rocks off of their ramps into something in the center, and Polterpup? Maybe he can be a guide dog to find the hidden collectibles in the game, like Wolflink in Breath of the Wild. As long as he's not wasting time again, I'll be content. And actually with that, we're kind of at the end of our run of ideas. Only other thing I've got written down is a puzzle idea for if Luigi entered a room with a giant scale to cross past. He could use ice to freeze the thing so that it wouldn't move as he crossed, or he could jetpack or berry balloon over it. He could manually find items to weigh it over like a loser would, or he could hookshot his way over each scale plate. Otherwise, that's about all I can say on how to make a proper Luigi's Mansion sequel. They're all about expanding what was introduced previously, and many of the original game ideas were stripped away from it. So here's some of them reimagined for future use in a future game. Will Luigi's Mansion 3 meet our expectations, or fall down a pit once again? I know many people are optimistic it won't be mission-based and unexplorative, but we do see that one room with two different layouts. Maybe something's moved it, or maybe it's the same room with a different mission. Ugh, my favourite. Guess we'll just have to see. Regardless, do be sure to check out my upcoming streams this week. As for now, my name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you want to join, then the link is on screen now and in the description. Otherwise, thank you to the Shepherd256, Dylan Brill, DazzleKitty, and Melchor Velasco. Thanks for watching. This was through both giving a super suck ability and or even an engine at the stretch of an perhaps integrating them with the and using the dark light reveals a door that is on fire that you can then extinguish the flames that have appeared. So then you reveal the missing door and also find out that it is on fire, and as for taking this, is that even a name? I'm going with it anyway. Making you feel like you've actually accomplished something. They gave more variety in the combat as he did flipped up dice as a handful of ideas. How about a room that can, and that kind of covers my ideas for how to expand, and that kind of covers all my ideas for how to extend all of the, and that kind of covers my ideas for how to expand. As a third new mechanic, I'd quite like to see the poltergust. Excuse me. And as a third new, I'd quite like to see the opposite of the vacuuming bonus. I'd like to see the opposite of the vacuuming bonus upgrade. Again, go Dark Moon's mechanic, where if you use it, but it will only be the start of their fight, while it'll be the end of the last guys. Nah, that's cool. Don't need to explain that. The strobe bulb could be used so that it wouldn't move as if or he could jetpack or bury. He could manually find items to. I know many people are optimistic. What? I know many people are optimistic that it won't